Welcome to the Omnic Recap, where every Sunday we look back at what happened during the past week in Overwatch. While we haven't heard any more updates, or even rumors about Overwatch 2 and the Overwatch 2 beta, the next few weeks might still be interesting. Both for Overwatch and Overwatch 2. There's even a small chance that we'll see the Archives event soon. But more about that and what we can expect for this event in a minute. First, let's have a look at this week's news. The first two things are somewhat Overwatch 2 related. See, the community clearly had it, but the lack of news, updates, or worthwhile content. There are definitely some patient people among us that just brush this all off and go play some Apex or something. But on the other end, the group of people lashing out at Blizzard is growing every single day. And occasionally a forum topic about something completely unrelated will get hijacked, as happened this week. The Overwatch Empowerment Cup thread on the official forums got a little cluttered with other topics. One being, of course, the lack of updates. So much so that community manager Andy B jumped in and clarified that the team is very aware of the issue, but when they have something more to tell about this topic, they will. He added, however, that this requires massive coordination on both the development and publishing teams and approval up the chain. That he understands that the community is angry and guarded about any promise they make at this point, that they look forward to re-earning our trust. This kind of proves what I was talking about in my last video about Blizzard's old school PR philosophy and how they are, most likely rightfully, convinced that Overwatch 2 will have us forget and forgive. But I just want to add one more thing. I get you need to prepare. I get that you just can't do these random announcements. But this whole circus, this drought, started over 2 years ago. Last BlizzConline in 2021, promises were made. We actually were going to have a BlizzConline a few weeks ago, originally. It is not like the community asking for updates is a recent thing, or that there hasn't been ample time to prepare. You know, this whole thing is starting to feel like that scene from Austin Powers, if you've seen the movie, where the steamroller is coming at the guy, and he just keeps yelling no from... It's this one, look at it.
Shout! Move! Move! Move!
Careful, Austin.
Yeah. Anyways, check last week's video for the full story. I'll leave a link up there per usual. Another Overwatch 2 topic that Andy B briefly touched upon, and which was a lot closer to the actual empowerment thread, is that they're improving the anti-toxicity measures for the future. I think we can all agree that anti-toxicity measures are more than welcome, as long as they're better than the endorsement level, because those did not work out as promised. And the other news topics are not about Overwatch specifically, so I'll touch on them briefly. Coca Cola announced that Bobby Kotick, the CEO of Activision Blizzard, will not be up for re-election for the board of the directors for Coca Cola. Kotick himself stated that he is stepping down to focus on the upcoming Microsoft merger. Good to know that decently running your company for years is not a priority, but selling it is. Activision Blizzard is being sued by the family of the employee that took her life a few years ago. And the company is also getting sued by one of their shareholders. They are stating that the board of directors are trying to line their own pockets by selling the company to Microsoft. But yeah. And lastly, Activision Blizzard has decided to no longer sell games in Russia as a reaction to the Ukraine invasion. This also includes all microtransactions. They also promised to match any of the employees' donations made to aid organizations. Okay, now back to the main topic. What can we expect in the next few weeks? Next Tuesday, Reaper's Code of Violence Challenge is going to end. So if you don't have the skin yet, you have about 2 days left. Usually, Blizzard prefers to have some kind of grace period between the campaigns. This event ends on Tuesday, so potentially the next one could start next week. There are a few options of what that could be. First, let me add that something happening in Overwatch 1 does not exclude progress updates or even a beta for Overwatch 2, because these will be 2 different games in our launcher. And from a PR standpoint, we want to make sure that each thing gets enough attention. But practically, there can be an overlap between, let's say, an Overwatch 1 event and the Overwatch 2 beta. Even better would be if one actually helps to push the other one forward. That's why a lot of people are thinking that the launch of the Overwatch 2 beta might be tied into the Archives event, which is an understandable assumption. But I personally feel that the planning around that beta is so fragile that tying it into Overwatch 1 is pretty difficult. On the other hand, a lot of people enjoy the Archives event because of the PvE missions. But what is going to happen to these PvE missions in Overwatch 2? Once PvE becomes a big part of the game that we play daily with elaborate missions, new types of objectives, the talent trees, the current Archives missions might feel a little small, maybe even boring. So are they going to remake them in Overwatch 2? Or just integrate them as they are right now? Maybe they'll just scrap them all together. Those are a lot of questions that need answering. And why wouldn't they answer them soon? Let's just say today a last edition of the Overwatch 1 Archives event with a huge update on the Overwatch 2 PvE, explaining how these seasonal events will be tied into the new game. That's what they call two birds with one stone. Watch out, Ganymede. I'm sorry. But even without that PvE announcement or an Overwatch 2 beta, the Archives event is getting close. Usually the Archives event starts somewhere in the first 2 weeks of April, except in 2020. In 2020, the Archives event started on March 12th. With their planning currently being so weird, could that happen again? Could we be playing the Archives event next week? I don't think so. Sorry. I personally think that a few days after this event runs out, we'll see the Shanghai Dragons championship skin teased and eventually released. For the sake of your calendars, let's pin that on March 15th. It will be available for 2 weeks till March 29th. A week later on April 5th, the 2022 Archives event will start, ending on April 26th, with ample time to hype up the start of the Overwatch League season and the skin for that first tournament. Nostradamus strikes again. When it comes to the Archives event itself, we can expect the old missions to come back, but without anything new. There's going to be 3 weekly challenges, each with their own epic skin. Now, about the legendary skins. The Lunar New Year event a few weeks ago only gave us 2 legendary skins. A huge disappointment and a tipping point within the community for sure. The trust in the game took a huge hit that day, and one would be inclined to think we'll also only get 2 skins for this event. And I feel what happened with the Lunar New Year event was a bit of a fluke, circumstances colliding. On top of that, they did promise us that we would be getting more legendary skins in 2022 than any year before. Something they will not be able to do with just the Overwatch League skins. I'm going to be optimistic. Well, as optimistic as I can be. And I'll say we'll get 5 skins again. Don't make me regret this, Blizzard. I'm not going to go as far and try to predict which characters are getting a skin. Nostradamus is not touching that. I'm not making a fool of myself. Again. But let me just add a reflection, a thought. Thematically, the skins in this event are always a mix between the character's background, their heritage, and just some random skins. So getting some lore-based skins for Echo, Sigma, and Brigitte would be a nice thing. For some reason, D.Va doesn't even have a single archive skin, which is weird, because she definitely has a colorful history. Now, talking about D.Va, we might also see the release of the last chapter in the new Blood comic series. In this one, Cassidy will be meeting up with D.Va. Or will he? I made a video about that a few weeks ago, go check it out. And while I'm on the topic of lore, I'm working on a new series of videos about Overwatch lore. A dive into the history of places, people, organizations, and what Overwatch 2 might have in store for them. The first video is coming really soon, so make sure to subscribe. For now, however, that was it. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in my stream or in my next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.